Greetings and warm aloha to everyone. Have you found yourself gazing at the vast expanse of the sky and pondering its mysteries? Have you contemplated the possibility of not being alone in this immense universe? Perhaps you've even questioned the existence of a higher power or a divine being. And have you ever questioned the accuracy of the scientific explanations about our cosmos? In this series of videos, we embark on a journey of exploration, starting with the renowned Big Bang Theory and delving into alternative ideas like the infinite bag theory. Our author will be Andrew J. Davis's enlightening book The Principles of Nature, which we'll dissect and discuss chapter by chapter, uncovering its fascinating insights. In the beginning, the univercolum was one boundless, undefinable, and unimaginable ocean of liquid fire. The most vigorous and ambitious imagination is not capable of forming an adequate conception of the height, and depth, and length, and breadth thereof. There was one vast expanse of liquid substance. It was without bounds, inconceivable, and with qualities and essences incomprehensible. This was the original condition of matter. It was without forms, for it was but one form. It had not motions, but it was an eternity of motion. It was without parts, for it was a whole. Particles did not exist, but the whole was as one particle. There were not suns, but it was one eternal Sunday. It had no beginning, and it was without end. It had not length, for it was a vortex of one eternity. It had not circles, for it was one infinite circle. It had not disconnected power, but it was the very essence of all power. Its inconceivable magnitude and constitution were such as not to develop forces, but omnipotent power. Matter and power were existing as a whole, inseparable. The matter contained the substance to produce all suns, all worlds, and systems of worlds, throughout the immensity of space. It contained the qualities to produce all things that are existing upon each of these worlds. The power contained wisdom and goodness, justice, mercy, and truth. It contained the original and essential principle that is displayed throughout immensity of space, controlling worlds and systems of worlds, and producing motion, life, sensation, and intelligence, to be impartially disseminated upon their surfaces as ultimate. This great center of worlds, this great power of intelligence, this great germ of all existences was one world, corresponding to a globe visible, for it was but one, containing the materials and power to produce all others. It had wisdom equal to matter, to plan them and direct their infinite movements. It had goodness equal to the extent of its substance, to give perfect harmony and distributive usefulness to all parts of this infinitude. It had justice, but only to be manifested in proportion to developments of suitable mediums upon these subordinate spheres, or forms of the great sphere. It had mercy, lenity, and forbearance, to be developed as corresponding with like developments in sensitive and intelligent beings. It contained truth eternalized, like its own nature. So the whole of these principles were joined into one vast vortex of pure intelligence. In the beginning God created, or the great positive mind caused the existences and forms that are now universally manifested. The great first cause, or the vortex of pure intelligence, was a first, or cause internal. Matter, with its properties and inconceivable combinations, was an accompaniment or counterpart that may be termed a second or effect. And the external or countervailing force developed by the action of the internal was a third or ultimate. Cause, effect, and ultimate. Thus was established the law of universal and eternal motion. First, it contains the peculiar combinations that form a sun so vast that it again forms similar ones, corresponding to the great sun or world that was first repulsed from the great body, or infinite center. And this is an index, a symbol of an eternity of worlds like unto the first launched from the great center to the extremity of its own atmospheric circle, and each having subordinate worlds, and these having satellites, they in order revolve around each other, and the whole around the center or sun which produced them. And this, with all corresponding suns and constellations, attended with their many planets and satellites, revolves around the great center, or sun from which the whole emanated. And thus is established the first motion of planetary worlds. And these having developed upon geometrical principles, the angular, circular, and spiral motions, this eternal establishment becomes the first system of concentric circles. A sixth circle of formations was also produced, and these are suns. Only, as they have not yet become properly consolidated, their atmosphere has not yet produced other formations, and so they are a this time pursuing their undefinable orbits in the form and composition of blazing comets. The time that has elapsed in years, from the beginning until the completion of the 6 circles of suns, could not be represented to the human mind if every particle that composes this globe should pass separately before the human vision, and millions of years were to elapse between the passage of each particle. If this duration could be conceived of, the mind would still be incompetent to comprehend the time which elapsed from the beginning to the 6th formation. The great center from which all of these systems and systems of systems emanated is still an exhaustless fountain of never-ending materials. It is a magnificent and glorious sun, a center around which all suns and sons of suns revolve. It is a vortex, breathing forth a system of concentric circles of suns and systems of suns. It is an everlasting and unchangeable parent of all things. It is still an ocean of undulated and undefinable fire, the holy emblem of perfection. With an everlasting spontaneousness, it breathes forth unnumbered worlds, and a corresponding infinite expansion of co-eternal and immutable power. It displays, throughout the immensity of space, correspondences of its own inherent nature. It is a germ, in which nothing exists but what is everlasting and infinite, and it develops these inexpressible attributes in the successive degrees and orders of formation, throughout the vast univercoelum and the boundless duration of eternity. Thank you for watching, and make sure to comment below your thoughts. If you want a copy of Andrew Davis's book, The Principle of Nature, go to our website and download the PDF file. Mr. Davis wrote 34 books. If you like our content, more to come as we will cover his whole book. Please subscribe and like.